of the programs that we're involved in is an evaluation project in Eastern Africa and multi-sites. And we're doing the work that actual professional development workers do. We're interacting with NGOs, we're interacting with stakeholders. It's the type of experience that most students don't get until actually they leave their graduate studies.
My work here at Minnesota, particularly in the last few years, has been very much focused through the MasterCard Project work, in which we are doing a 6-year longitudinal study of the impact of entrepreneurship training on the lives of disadvantaged or economically disadvantaged youth. But what's interesting about it is that it is involving about 20 graduate students, mostly doctoral students in the department. Many of them get to the field during the summer to conduct interviews. The backbone of our study is interviews with about 60 students in each of 3 countries and following these youth for 6 years. And that's led to quite an interesting opportunity to interact with the students and to get into issues around entrepreneurship, around disadvantaged youth. And it's, I think, been a fairly intense experience for me, but I think also for the students involved.
It's a class that just brings all the things that education is supposed to do at the same place. So ranging from, for example, management of an evaluation project, for example. That's what it does. You're working with 3 partners in different locations. And then from there, you're working with students, working on different projects together. And then you're also working with actual things that are happening now. So we're talking about how to improve education quality in sub-Saharan Africa. Here is an opportunity for students, not just to learn about these things in books, but also to be part of the process in trying to, see and create opportunities for making the education system layers better.
Students are actually, on the one hand, learning about, and they're kind of grounded in this actual research project, but we're learning about how it is that foundations, NGOs, other international organizations set agendas, fund different kinds of education programs, work together to actually implement education programs. How do we work to evaluate that and research that? And what are the kind of conceptual and methodological considerations when we work on these kind of research projects that relate both to some people's interests about working very much in practice in the field with NGOs or organizations, and other people's interest is how do I take these kind of methodological considerations and actually put them into practice in the field. And still other people are interested in how do I do evaluation, and still other people are interested in how do I work on these intercultural teams of researchers that are both university researchers, local researchers, etc. So there's lots of kinds of learning that we're trying to create in those advanced seminars, in addition to actually involving graduate students right along with us in doing the day-to-day work of collecting data, analyzing data, preparing reports.
One of the most amazing things about the MasterCard project actually has been having this structure to work with local data collectors, research partners who are outstanding scholars in different Tanzanian colleges and universities. And so to have that opportunity to sit and talk over some of these really complex contextual issues and to do analysis together around things that I'm personally really interested in, again, I feel so fortunate because those relationships have made my scholarship so much better.
To be a part of and witness the types of negotiations that practitioners have to make between the research agenda or the issues about conducting sound research that come up, the programmatic agenda that the NGOs have, but also then the donors' agenda, navigating all of those interests was really interesting.
Especially with the MasterCard grant, it's been an excellent opportunity to be able to see a project from the beginning. So how to write a proposal, how to develop an evaluation framework, how to decide on sample size and work with your partners and deciding what communities you'll work in, who you'll collect data from, what would be the best to be able to, what would be a good way or what you hope would be the best way to be able to see changes in your program, measure program implementation.
I joined because I wanted that real-world evaluation experience and doing international development, and I hadn't had any experience in sub-Saharan Africa prior to that either. But in terms of what I've gotten out of the class, it's been much more than that. And one of the really cool things about it is just helped me reframe and learn how an evaluation works from how you create it from scratch, and then how you start to think about these key questions and frame your research. And the whole process has also helped me with my own dissertation research in thinking of what I'm going to study, the questions I'm going to ask, the instruments I'm going to make, and how I'm going to actually collect and analyze my data, because I think you don't have many opportunities to discuss those processes as a group, and you're sort of doing it on your own in the dissertation project. So it's been really helpful, and I'm excited now to be able to use it in my own dissertation research.
What I actually most appreciate about it in terms of graduate learning is it's a really important time and process for students to actually say, how do I go about analyzing and collecting data? And it doesn't always happen in the same way that it would happen for their dissertation, where we say, okay, let's frame the project, let's collect the data, and now let's analyze it. In fact, sometimes right now we're analyzing data, and then they'll go out and collect later. But I think by actually seeing how data gets analyzed helps us better collect it as well. And so I think students really get this parallel process that hopefully will make for much better research dissertations.
Now in the MasterCard project that I've had some of that experience, and my role up to this point has primarily been on the quantitative data analysis side, has been really interesting, because now that I have a broader skill base, now that I have at least a good theoretical knowledge and a lot of coursework in stats, here's a chance to apply it. Here's a chance to actually put it into use. And obviously once you start putting it into use, you come up with all the messy issues that fieldwork entails, that you're all of a sudden going to be working with data sets that don't meet normal distributions. You're going to be working with data sets that have all the issues of missing data and stuff that's more what the real world has to offer. And so that's, I think, a phenomenal experience to be able to put a lot more of your coursework to work and to see how it actually functions.
Just learning how to be a researcher and learning qualitative methodology as you go, this is an amazing case study. And for me, I don't know if had I taken just a methods class, I'm sure actually, had I taken just a methods class, I don't think that I would have had such a rich understanding of what is really all involved.
Sometimes I feel in coursework you might talk a lot about theory or talk a lot about an idea, but you don't really know how that gets used or actualized in the field. And this is one way to be able to see that and work on that.
Being in the MasterCard class is very different from being in another class. For one thing, I think there's a continuity that the same people tend to take it semester after semester, so you get to know the same people and it feels like a more close-knit group. We have a lot of opportunities to work together in smaller groups and in pairs, and so we sort of rely on one another a lot more than we do in another class where it's more teacher-led. This is kind of more student-led, and we have opportunities to break out and explore different areas and collaborate in new and different ways.
In this class it is so different. We are the facilitators. I see myself as I was shocked. I was facilitating in some of the learnings in that class. I have done research. I have done discussions, high-level discussions in that class, which it doesn't happen anywhere else. So the MasterCard class, it tells me that I can actually do something. Yes.